Northwestern at Rutgers. Rutgers is a 6.5-point favorite with an over-under of 39.5 points. Game kicks off at noon on CBS. Is that right, or is it noon 30? It's one of those two.
I think it might be noon. Yeah,
might be noon. Okay, well they get their own time slot, which I think is just awesome. And also, prepare yourself for this. We're getting the SEC on CBS theme for this, and it's going to show Northwestern and Rutgers with the da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, it's we're pretty excited for that. So
it's not going to hit the same, dude. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to hit the same. Still going to be excited because it's college football, but it won't hit the same as LSU Alabama at night. Like, I'm sorry.
No, but this game might just play itself into like extreme watchability because of either a lot of incompetence or the fact that it's just a close game. I do think this is actually like a pretty solid matchup. I'm not sure the power ratings have adjusted on Northwestern yet. They had what they had. The allegations, the hazing, Pat Fitzgerald was gone. A couple of guys hit the transfer portal. And now you have David Braun, who is the newly hired defensive coordinator, who is actually just a defensive coordinator in the FCS levels at NDSU, now taking over as the head coach. Did you make any adjustments to this team, be it in your power ratings or just the way that you interpret those ratings post Pat Fitzgerald?
Not explicitly, Brett, no. Implicitly, I'd say yes, but explicitly, no. There's a lot going on around this Northwestern program, as you've alluded to. I'm here in Indianapolis. We had the Big Ten Media Days like a week after all the news broke. That was the talk of Media Days. It was the only time, I think, I'm standing there in Lucas Oil Stadium on the field. I'm standing there, and at the same time that Ryan Day is having his press conference, we've got the Northwestern interim the interim coach having his press conference. Only time you've probably ever seen the Northwestern acting head coach, interim head coach, and the Ohio State head coach with the same amount of media surrounded around them. There might have actually been one or two more at the Northwestern side. So that's really hard for the mathematical models to quantify. I do think a subjective alteration is absolutely appropriate in this case. I will not apply that to the K Ford ratings. I will apply that to the Kelly Ford opinion outside of the model. Yes.
I want to ask you something off the cuff. I didn't have it at you before because I just thought of it. Once week one passes, we've had discussions about, this team jumped X amount of points, and boy, I've never seen teams jump like that quick, before. After week one, do you anticipate maybe a higher change in that power rating, or do you think that they're going to still change, equally if everything was hunky-dory?
Well, no, I do think you can expect a more significant and more a quicker decrease, a descendance in their power rating from where they're starting versus where this team might actually be. When you've got a team in turmoil, and to be fair, we don't necessarily know that this team is in turmoil. They're going through adversity, and that can lead to one of two things. You can either come together and fight through it and be better than projected. It takes oftentimes a lot of kind of baseline quality raw talent to do that. I'm not sure this Northwestern roster has that relative to the competition they're going to be facing, or the adversity can tear it apart and make it harder for the team, and they can spiral into that season. So we don't necessarily know yet which way. I think we all have an idea about what we think, but let's see how it plays out. If, in fact, it is the latter and they do spiral, I do think you will see a quicker descent in the power rating world, because it's going to be judging this Northwestern team on the model's going to be judging it based on what it's seeing on the field and how that team is performing. The model's expecting this because it doesn't know about all this stuff over here. If this stuff actually makes the team project down here, then it is going to go down, and it's going to go down faster because you're not reaching the expectations that the model has for you. So therefore, they will go down. If they actually do better than everyone's expecting, it might not increase the model's view of it that much because the model's expecting them to be better than every human is expecting, right? So it's almost like there's a bigger downside than upside here. That's just the way it is when you've got this type of situation around a program and all this uncertainty. So yeah, that's what I would say about expectations and how they can maybe be expected to move around, but they're not starting at a super high place. I've got them 4.9 points below FBS average right now. That's number 85 nationally. So when you're starting down there, the floor can come quick.
This line grew from -3.5 to -6.5 in favor of the home team Rutgers. Books briefly took it down in response to the coaching changes and allegations and all those things going on because they didn't really know what to do with it at the moment. That's pretty standard. Funnily enough, even though it's changed a full field goal and they had to take it off the books, it ran only through dead numbers. So there's not really a huge difference between -3.5 and -6.5 in terms of push rate there. So it's still, it's in a weird nebulous void. But the point total has absolutely crashed. It started at 47. Now we're down to, get this, 39.5. Those are numbers I don't see outside of the Iowa State game and
Army-Navy.
Army-Navy and Army Air Force. Like those are the only Service Academy games against other Service Academies, and of course the Cy-Hawk Trophy. Those are the only two times you're seeing numbers sub 40. But hey, here we are. FEI really respect especially their point totals. I respect all their projections, but especially their point totals. They have this at a grand total of 26 total points. SP Plus has it at 38. So I see why it's trending down, and maybe it still hasn't trended down enough. Ben Bryant, maybe a name that we're familiar with, played quarterback at Cincinnati. He is now at Northwestern, just as a side note. Rutgers was 71st in points per drive allowed last year, and they returned 8 of their starters. Should be a pretty strong unit. Once again, definitely the better of the two units. Maybe I'm looking to play under Northwestern's team total at 15.5. If anything, I don't know that I have much action in this game, though. What do your numbers say about this absolute barn burner?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm going to get to the defenses in a second. It makes sense when this total's been going down. For, yes, the outside the football stuff that's happening, but also when you look at the quality of these teams and maybe their projected strengths, it makes sense. So let me get to that here. These two teams, Brett, for me, are projecting to finish last in their respective divisions within the Big Ten by my numbers. This is the best chance that both of these teams will have, by my numbers, to win a Big Ten conference game all year. And last year we saw Northwestern in week 0 over in Europe get Nebraska, the better of Nebraska. Scott Frost, inexplicable onside kick. A couple of weeks later, he's no longer the coach there. Northwestern, they're number 1 in my most deserving rankings after week 0. They don't win a game again the rest of the year. So this kind of has that potential for it. Now, they're going to be favored against UTEP and Howard and some other games there. So I'm not suggesting they're going to go 1-11, but this is their best chance to win a Big Ten game all year. Same for Rutgers. In this game, I actually do have it, Rutgers -3.5. So again, we know where it was a while back before all this stuff, which makes sense because, like I said, I'm not necessarily explicitly accounting for that off-the-field stuff for Northwestern. It's a 60% win expectancy for Rutgers. From a raw power rating standpoint, these two teams are pretty similar. Rutgers is power rated number 81, Northwestern power rated 85, as I touched on earlier. Both these teams are pretty similar. Average to above average defense, so there you go, and really poor offenses. So again, back to that total information, it makes total sense when you're looking at these teams and their projections on the unit ranks. Northwestern's defense projecting as the best of the 4 units here. It's number 39 in the nation. Their offense, though, projecting to be the worst out of the 4 here. Number 124 nationally. Brett, that's in the bottom 10 of all FBS this year. I mean, that's not good. You're a Power 5 program. You're playing in the Big Ten. You can't have a bottom 10 offense. Just ask Iowa. Now, their offense, not quite as bad, but their defense is even better. So it doesn't even work when you have the number 1 defense. So you got to be better on offense. Similarly, for Rutgers, their defense, number 57, their offense, sub 100, coming in at number 104. So from a predictive analytics standpoint, these two teams are similar. The difference for me in this game is really twofold. The game is in Piscataway, and there's a lot going on around the Northwestern program, as we've talked about, off the field. No scheduling dynamics worth noting for me in this one. The bottom line is I have Rutgers -3.5 at home with a 60% win expectancy for the Scarlet Knights.